This incident happened in 1982. I was the third child in the family. When my mother was pregnant, she fell down the stairs and was later admitted to the hospital. I was born on the way to the hospital. My childhood was not a happy one at all. I never felt the love of my family. My father drank a lot and would beat me and my mother for no reason. My father was a porter and my mother was a full-time wife. My father lost his job because of the economic downturn. After he lost his job, he never found a suitable job. Our life became more difficult. He began to drink heavily, and in the beginning, he would go to the bar twice a week. In the beginning, he would go to the bar twice a week, but later on, he would basically go every day. After a year of this, my father finally found a job. I thought our life would return to normal, but my dad continued to drink. Every time he drank, he would hit my mom, and my mom was very afraid of him. I remember it was a very cold night. Dad was out drinking again and wasn't even home very late. Mom told my brother and me to go to bed first. She brought the grill into the bedroom and then she lit the charcoal. She covered the bottom of the door with a towel so the outside air couldn't get in. Although I was only 5 years old, I knew she was going to do something terrible. It felt like she was losing her mind and I prayed for her to stop this. She kept yelling at me to go to sleep. She closed the last window too. I slept next to my brother and I was so scared, my heart was beating so fast. I started to cry and I closed my eyes and prayed. There was less and less oxygen in the air, and I felt very sleepy. I struggled to open my eyes and saw that the room was filled with black smoke. The room soon filled with toxic fumes and I began to cough incessantly. I slowly lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I saw a beautiful light appear at the window. I felt an intense love that I had never felt before. I saw a golden figure with light radiating around him. He took my hand and was ready to lead me out of here. I looked back into the room and saw my mother and brother lying on the floor as if they were no longer breathing. I tried to get the door open, but I couldn't. Then, he and I left the room. We were floating in the air. From outside, I could see him more clearly. He was like the Jesus described in the Bible. His face was glowing and his eyes were so deep. On his chest was a golden cross with golden circles around it. We kept floating upward. A huge tree appeared in front of me, and I couldn't see the top of it. The tree shone with a dazzling light. There were many small animals around the tree and they were getting along harmoniously. Here I felt very relaxed, I could breathe freely, and I no longer felt tired. The scene was beautiful. Some of the animals I saw for the first time were very different from the animals on Earth. They were very friendly, as if we knew each other. On the left side of the tree, I saw many children with different skin colors. Each one was unique and beautiful at the same time. Everyone was happy. They were playing and running on the lawn. There was a beautiful fountain in the center of the garden. A little further up, I saw a lot of people. People were smiling and the atmosphere was full of love. There were flowers of all colors around the fountain. People were sitting around, talking to each other and smiling at each other. As I continued on, I could see a large group of older people. They looked very energetic and they were walking along the river. Suddenly, I thought of my mother, who I knew was still suffering. I knew I had to get out of here. I prayed to him to go back and save my mother. Suddenly, we appeared in front of the neighbor's house. The neighbor was a 50-year-old lady who was very close to our family. I called out her name, but there was no response. Then I looked to Jesus. The next thing that happened was miraculous. The neighbor came out of the house, opened the door, and asked who was knocking. She didn't see anyone, she thought it was someone's prank, and she was ready to go back to her house. I saw Jesus close his eyes. He put his right hand in the air and his left hand on his chest. Then he touched the doorknob and the door to my house opened. The neighbor looked over at my house and she smelled the smoke in my house. She started screaming loudly and she kept knocking on my bedroom door. But there was no response. She tried to force the door open, but it was already unlocked from the inside. Then, her son came too. He broke the glass window on the door. They reached the bedroom and carried us all out. My mother had regained consciousness, and my brother and I were still lying on the floor. They helped us with CPR. After a while, I regained a little consciousness. When I was ready to thank Jesus, he was gone. I knew it was not a dream, everything was real. My neighbor asked my mom, "Why did you do such a crazy thing?" My mom didn't know how to answer. I wanted to say something, but my mom's eyes kept on me. I knew it was Jesus who saved us, and it was a miracle. To this day, my neighbor doesn't even know who is knocking on her door.